Hello, greetings everybody. I want to welcome you here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So we're here for an episode of What's New. Comes out on Thursday every week. Since I changed it, I may change it back, but I think I'm going to stick with this for now. The band we're going to do today is called Aerostation and the album is called Rethink. This is an Italian, I guess you might call it a progressive rock, maybe progressive pop, definitely very synthesizer driven. I might even call it an electronic band. It's got a lot of all these mixtures together. He fits the stuff together quite well. There's no guitar player in the band. It's pretty much driven by synthesizers and keyboard, like what they call virtual guitars or keypads and that kind of stuff. Anyways, released on September the 19th, 2025. It's about 44 and a half minutes long on the independent artist record labels. Produced by Alex Carpani. Okay, appearing for, I guess this would be Aerostation. Alex Carpani, lead and backing vocals, keypad, and all virtual guitars and synthesizers and that kind of stuff. Gigi Cavalli Kochi on drums. And then you got Jacopo Rossi on bass. Now he on some list is listed as an add-on type musician, and other places he's listed as a band member. So I'm not an expert on this band, so I'm not sure which one he is. Maybe he's a little bit of both. I'm not sure. So the tracks, there's a number of tracks on the album, of course. I think we've got 11 tracks, 11 or 12 tracks on the album. Pretty good. So to me, this album is dominated by keyboards and synthesizers and synthesizer-like noises. He uses it atmospherically. He uses it symphonically. He uses it to feed the guitar sound through. So he's got like this virtual kind of guitar sound going on, and keypads and all kinds of that type of instrumentation going on. The bass at times is dominating, and at other times is kind of backgrounding. Same with the drums. They're both kind of switch off that way. And the vocals, all done by Carpani. He does both the lead and the backing. So what you get is you get the strong lead vocals, and then you got this kind of synthesizer-driven backing vocals, and at times even the lead vocals are kind of synthesizer-driven. So he likes to feed a lot of noise through the synthesizers. Pretty dominant that way. At times very heavy sounding. Other times more melodic, maybe more spacey in its sound. Some of the tracks are quite catchy. Some of them a little bit more instrumentation driven and more story-like. Other points, some songs you got some really strong kind of heavy, almost metal-like sound, and then they will tone down to less, more background pastoral type sounds as well. Anyways, I'll break the songs down a bit. So you've got the opening track, which is just less than a minute long. It's called The Dive. It's kind of a spacey, low-key synthesizer track with some background noises. Very spacey song. Next up, you got The Distant Cry. Heavy synthesizer-driven track. The vocals are kind of, not overly high or deep, but a little bit in the medium range sound. The production's good on this track. Very keyboard-driven track, of course. Catchy, upbeat riff. Some heavy rhythm and a heavy rhythm section. And this is predominant throughout the album. They use the rhythm section to keep that kind of mid-range noise going throughout the entire track, or if you want, the backbone of the album. Next track up is Life is Calling. This is a heavy Keyboard driven track, lots of bass sounds here. Basically, this is what happens when it like the opening part of the track gets faster paced. The synthesizers then become more dominant. Vocals are a little bit deeper and a little bit clearer on this track. It's got a nice catchy riff, and the bass on this track's a little bit more forward as well. He uses both the keypad and the synthesizer dominated, what they call, sorry, my brain is having a hard time catching up here. Virtual guitar, sorry. So we got this kind of keypad. It's a keypad side of solo, but you got some of that synthesizer or that, I just said it and I can't remember, virtual guitar part on there as well. It's kind of a space rocky song. I think it has a space rock synthesizer driven track and heavy keyboard driven track as well. One of the better tracks on the album as well. The next track out is Meet Me at the End of the World. This is probably my favorite track on the album. It's got a very heavy, fast-paced keyboard track, really catchy riff. The vocals are clear but strong. They do a little bit of a part in the song where it's almost like a rap. He's almost like doing that rap thing. It's not a rap song and doesn't remind me of a rap song, but he does that kind of rappy type sound. Once again, the bass and the keyboards are pretty dominant, and the tempo was very up-tempo. Probably like I said, my favorite track. The next is Wait. It's Wait. The Wait is Over. Sorry, getting all tongue-tied there. It's kind of a low-keyed vocal forward, but a low-keyed vocal song, but a little bit more on the forward. The vocals are very forward. He tends to do that on most of the tracks, where once he starts to sing, it kind of becomes the dominant part of the song. It's a very heavy synthesizer dominant, and the use of the keypad solo here and some virtual guitar parts as well. Yeah, not a bad track though. So now the back half here. I don't think the back half is quite as strong as the first 4 or 5 songs, but it also doesn't have, there's a couple of low, weak songs on the first half, but the heavier songs or the better songs are higher up. So this is kind of more main leveled, I guess you might want to call it. Next track is called Drive My Soul. This one is heavy keypad riff. Nice solo part here, catchy riff. Vocals are again frontal, clear and dominant. Symphonic. This is a symphonic prog rock track, basically what it is. Yeah, it mellows at points throughout the track, but it's not really. There's not really much of that mellow part. It's pretty heavy. Pretty solid track. Next is Life is Too Short. There's a little bit of a shorter track in around the 3-minute range. Again, highly symphonic vocals. The vocals are loud, forward, and dominant, and very symphonic virtual guitar part and keypad again. Fly Over Me. This is a strong track. Lots of atmospheric synthesizers to open the track. It gets a little bit clearer. And the vocals again, frontal, dominant as always. The use of the synthesizers and the virtual guitar here and the keypads are probably the most dominant feature on this track, as it is on many of the tracks on the album. Yeah, next up, Soul Shine, another strong song, very spacey, lots of spacey synthesizers at the beginning, almost a machine-like part that's doing a drum kind of noisy part, but it sounds very machine-like. The vocals are fed, of course, through the synthesizer on this track. Very synthesizer-driven vocals here. And heavy synthesizer, virtual guitar parts as well. So Soul Shine to me is a very synthesizer-driven track. Next track is Run As the Sun Goes Down. Heavy synthesizer track again. Pretty heavy, catchy rhythm section. Vocals are again dominant, clear, forward with a lot of synthesizer inflections on them, and very spacey track. And the percussion, And yeah, very spacey track, lots of keyboards, like I said. The last track on the album, Messiah, it goes out. It's a pretty strong track. The back half is not weak by any stretch of the imagination, but just more more low key, not as strong as some of the frontal tracks. It's kind of a nice low ebb synthesizer, almost organic life. Sorry, almost an organ-like feel. Organ-like feel to it. Lots of keyboard and spacey sounds throughout the track. The percussion mix is good here, pretty dominant, pretty forward. Lots of raspy synthesizer-fed vocals. Overall, I would say this is a progressive, spacey, kind of heavy electronic-driven track. Most of the tracks are heavier, but there are some that are more moderate sounding, and I might want to call them electronic pop sounds rather than more progressive sounds. So it's a good solid album. If you like that kind of electronic, progressive, heavy-driven symphonic sounds, you're gonna like this stuff. I'm trying to think of a band that it kind of reminds me of. Offhand, there isn't anybody that really comes to mind. It has its own unique sound, and I think a lot of that is because of the use of the virtual guitar and keypad. Using the keypad when he's playing the live parts, when you see the videos, and then playing the synthesizer more like virtual guitar parts for the heavier songs. So it almost feels like there's a guitar, but when you listen closely, you can clearly hear that it's synthesizer driven. So that, to me, is the dominant parts of this group. Heavy synthesizer vocals, heavy synthesizer virtual guitar, heavy synthesizer keypad. The point is that it's very symphonically heavy synthesizer driven. I would say it kind of goes mostly between that synthesizer sound, symphonic sound, and that electronic sound that you might get with some of the more electronic pop bands. Anyways, that's my kind of my breakdown of Power Station's Rethink, the album that we're doing tonight. So anyways, I hope you like this. Please hit the like and subscribe. If you want to make any comments about the band or the album, you can find this on Bandcamp, of course. You can actually find this on YouTube as well. I listen to it most of the time when I'm doing these albums that I haven't purchased yet. I do them through the Bandcamp because I can get more information and at the same time backtrack on the digital tile to hear what I'm listening to, which makes it easier than try to rewind a CD. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed that. So please leave your comments in the comment section, and we will be back next week with another album for What's New. Take care and have yourself a good one, and goodbye and good night.